We are a grassroots, nonpartisan, volunteer organization. There is absolutely no funding from anybody other than Americans for Americans. Everybody got that straight? The press got that straight? Probably not, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Our mission statement remains the same as it was on April 15th, and I'll read it to you word for word. Citizens committed to maintaining our culture of independence, liberty, personal responsibility, embraced by the Constitution through free markets, low taxes, and limited accountable government. Right? Hey, there's a lot more people all of a sudden. Yay! Everybody wait until the last minute to come out. Okay, this is a peaceful rally, guys. We have people walking the crowds. They have on gold shirts, although they're probably covered up because of the rain. But if anybody has any problems or anything, one of the guys will be there to help you out. We have water available at the tables over here. You can register to vote over there. There's a contribution jar because this tea party was a little bit more expensive to put on because I have an awesome speaker for you guys today. I don't know if you heard him on the radio, but he's from Australia. What happened to the microphone? Okay, we're back. He's the guy that's going to inspire us as Americans. You'll love him. I would love to be able to count the crowd, but I don't think we're going to be able to. I might be able to count umbrellas. That's about it. Our country is 233 years old. But we could lose everything if we're not careful. Ronald Reagan, those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent it from happening. We are not going to do the least. We are going to stand up. We are going to be heard by the people that we elected to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Or we will take them out of office. One of the things over at the tables, we had to keep it out of the rain, was a bunch of petitions asking them to pass a bill on term limits. What are the chances of that? Probably not good, but the last line on the petition is, or we will term limit you. Samuel Adams, I thank God that I have lived to see my country independent and free. She may long enjoy her independence and freedom if she will. It depends on her virtue. Jefferson, let our countrymen know that the people alone can protect us from these evils. Jefferson again, our business is to march straight forward without either turning to the right or to the left. Right now we got both directions. The founders warned that the only way for a nation to prosper was to have equal protection of rights and not for government to provide equal distribution of things. In other words, wealth distribution doesn't work. George Washington, his farewell address in 1796. Listen to this one close. Against the insidious wiles of foreign influence, the jealousy of a free people ought to be constantly awake, since history and experience prove that foreign influence is one of the most baneful foes of a Republican government. In other words, who cares what the rest of the world thinks of us? This is our country. We can do whatever we want. Benjamin Franklin. It's a little long, but I love it. I am for doing good to the poor, but I differ in opinion of the means. I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading or driving them out of it. In my youth, I traveled much, and I observed in different countries that the more public provisions were made for the poor, the less they provided for themselves, and of course became poorer. And on the contrary, the less that was done for them, the more they did for themselves and became richer. That's just amazing. I mean, they knew that hundreds of years ago, that if you give people money, all they're going to want is more. You make them work for it, teach them how to work for it, and they're happier and they're also richer. James Madison, all men having power ought to be distrusted to a certain degree. How about to a large degree? John Adams, children should be educated and instructed in the principles of freedom. Are we instructing our children in the principles of freedom? Start at home. It took 4 months to write the Constitution because they didn't throw it together and they didn't vote on it overnight without reading it. Okay, I even winged that one. Maybe I'll start winging more. They used 60 ballots to figure out how to elect the president. That was just one thing. Today, of course, they don't even read the bills. Sometimes they haven't even been written when they vote on the bills. Okay, that brings me to Debbie Halverson. She voted for cap and trade. She had no chance of reading that bill. She had many, many calls, many, many emails from people telling her not to support it. She voted for the largest tax increase in history and a blatant attempt for the government to completely take over our lives. Guess what? She's up for re-election next year. It's time for the silent majority to stand up and say, we aren't going to take it anymore. Now, she may be able to redeem herself because it's my understanding that the bill's going to go to the Senate, going to change it, and then it's going to go back to the House. If she votes no, I say she redeemed herself. If she votes yes, we're taking her out next year. Another person we have to take out is Mark Kirk. He's from Northern Illinois, but I've heard that he's had dreams of running for statewide office and maybe even the Senate. He voted for cap and trade, and he's a Republican, for Pete's sakes. I thought Republicans stood for low taxes. Just keep your eye out for Mark Kirk, and if you see his name on a ballot, make sure we take him out too. What these guys don't understand is okay. Okay, it only works when I don't want it to. Okay, Americans invent and create their way to a better life. We don't legislate it. When somebody comes up with a good idea to make money to reduce our foreign oil dependence, or they actually let us drill somewhere, then it'll happen. We don't need the government telling us we have to drive cracker boxes. And how much you want to bet the price of gas is going to be about $5 a gallon as soon as GM starts rolling those little bitty cars off the line? Because that's the only way they're going to be able to sell those suckers. On to Social Security. It's only $6.6 trillion in debt. Medicare is $36.3 trillion in debt. Stimulus bill was $787 billion, TARP was $700 billion, AIG was $182 billion. Guess how much the total federal taxes collected was? The highest year ever. It was only within the last couple of years it was $2.6 trillion. That's it for an entire year. And that was under the Bush tax cuts, by the way, which Barack Obama seems to think that tax cuts aren't fair, because the wealthy should pay more.